around 3 months before the COVID-19, I started my restaurant and the bungalow. I started that for the international traveler, but after just starting the project and building everything almost finished, COVID hit. So I switched 100% to domestic traveler instead now. The restaurant still survive, kind of hardly to survive, but survive. And I still continue to have my full-time job with CRDT Tour, which is a educational and responsible travel organizers in the region of Northeast Cambodia. Yeah. So this is about me. I'm not sure if I have a time limit in terms of introducing, or I'm just start to talk wild like that.
No, we've got a little bit more time, Tola, so the mic is yours. We'd love to hear a little bit more about your initiative, the impact you're having on the community and the countryside there. Thank you.
Okay, so I will continue. Actually, CRDT2 it is an educational and responsible travel organizer, which is focused on organizing trip for students. Both it can be local and international students come from the other country to visit Cambodia, but in a different style. So basically, we organize like a gap year for students, and also organize like a summer course when they are traveling to Cambodia. We bring them to meet different NGO leaders who are working in development, conservation, and also we bring them to visit successful projects around Cambodia in terms of their interest. So sometimes we also have a student come from environmental conservation. Sometimes we have business students. There also sometimes we have a student coming from health sector as well. So we kind of match up all of that people and projects around Cambodia for them to visit and learn. And of course, every trip that we organize for them in Cambodia, we always connect with cultural experience, such as homestay or meeting the local people to learn about the way of life in Cambodia, as well as to visit some highlight in Cambodia, such as Angkor Wat Temple, and then sometimes bring them to the beach as well, if they are kind of need some of that kind of experience. And we are quite strict when we are organizing trips for traveler. So we have quite a lot of rules like do and don'ts, and then taking pictures with kids is not allowed. And then we also having quite a serious in terms of dressing when they are travel as well. So they cannot dress short, and then especially in the village, no public affection, so on. So this is how CRD Tour is doing, the place that I'm working with. CRD Tour is currently working with around four direct communities and then 7 indirect in the region. If we are talking about the direct family that we are working, is around 120 families. So when talking about 120 families, it means the homestay family who provide the service in the village. So basically, we also provide these local communities some community development in terms of their capacity as well. So we train them more on service providing, on hygiene regarding to food, and also more training on hospitality, because they are kind of like, some of them, they are new to tourism. So besides organizing trips, we also playing a role as a capacity development person to help the community to develop their skill a little bit more on that. And so far, we actually be able to drive income from international tourism to the local community, around 60,000 per year as their annual revenue. So this is like a part of our goal that we would like to use tourism as a tool for local community to generate some income, so that it can be alternatively support to their livelihood. And that's also in the purpose that we would like to reduce the pressures on going into the tree, cut down the tree, and then overfishing in the Mekong, which is sometimes affected to the dolphin as well. We grow from a local NGO project, and our team is quite small, and they are all Cambodian. One of our biggest challenge is that reaching out more to the broader market. So far, all of our clients knowing us, it's just because from their friend or the network that we know, and then they are reaching to us rather than we are reaching to them. So this is kind of one of the biggest challenge that we face so far. We kind of have a very short hand to reach out to more market outside Cambodia. We currently working with no. I mean, before the COVID, we were working with CSU from Australia, some from the US, from French, students from French as well, and we also start to have group from Japan. So these are the countries that we usually work with. Oh, from one more is from England as well.
If I might ask a question, Tola, in terms of the support that you've received from Impact Hub Phnom Penh, could you give some examples about the work that you've been doing together?
Yes, I and Impact Hub is having, I think it's one of the best experience that I had so far during my working lifestyle. It is the first place that I feel like when I'm talking about something, there's somebody understand me. And it's a kind of somebody doing their heads like that, rather than just down. That is not right. So basically, I joined Impact Hub lately, 6 months ago, in the program called the Incubator Program. It is called the Khmer Tourism for the Future. That the program that is trying to promote tourism during the pandemic of the COVID-19. The first impression I would have is that the team of Impact Hub is incredibly magnificent. Every one of them, the moment I get in, I can see the energy. I can get inspired just by the message on the wall. You know, those kind of big things. They have big letter like "This is where change begins." All that thing just come together into my head. Yeah. It's like Mel. I think she's here as well. Yeah, you are there. I saw you. Yeah. So Mel is just like someone never end. She can always keep us moving all the time. And then if there is something growing up a little bit in terms of the idea, if you talk to Mel, you're probably feeling hard to distract or getting back out of this idea. She's gonna push you forward for that. That's kind of something I remember about her. And I think I learned a lot from Mel. She's kind of a person who like to put a lot of positivity into everything and then put away the negativity. Yeah. And Bora, Van, Kosama, Tini, Nick, and Gage, those guys just like a guy who I know when I meet, I can feel like they are lighting up my passion that I have inside. So I love that so much.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and Impact Hub helped me to won the award of 5K from the Khmer Enterprise. It's another project. So that's also cool. The program also linked me with some mentors. Talking with the mentor is also another experience for me. I am kind of a very introvert person. Yes, I am. I am introvert. You heard me right. Yeah. And I'm not good at social media and also publicities. I learned that when meeting those mentors introduced by Impact Hub, they are really kind of give me a lot of knowledge regarding the project in tourism. They give me advice on how to even design a promotional material, how to do the pitching, how can I look forward in terms of developing a new product or kind of that thing. I wish I had that kind of people around me all the time so that I can reach anytime, but that's kind of weird things because here I'm working quite independent, and then when I reach out to someone, they are all like the management committee of the NGO. So I'm kind of now moving a little bit to entrepreneur, and when talking to NGO thing, it's kind of, I could not find it right or click to myself. So this is a lot of other things that I got from Impact Hub Phnom Penh.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
This is Amarlab. And in our country, in Bangladesh, people generally are very indifferent about their health, especially when it comes to regular health checkups. They only do medical tests and till they are confronted by severe and explicit difficulties. But more importantly, we also realize how tedious and strenuous it is for the health conscious people as well to undergo for a simple medical test. Dhaka is one of the most densely populated country in the world, so the traffic is dreadful here. And also, once one person reaches the diagnostic lab or the hospital, there is a long queue. So, on average, we have calculated that if I want to go to a diagnostic lab and do a medical test, on average, I have to spend 9 hours a day, on average 9 hours. So Amarlab actually, since 2017, we started our journey and we have committed ourselves to bring pathological testing services to people's doorstep. So this is the problem we are solving, trying to solve. At least first, I said about the time of people, also the elderly and disabled people, those who cannot go to the hospitals, and also the crowd, avoiding the long queues as well. And also the current situation we all are actually passing at this moment, the COVID-19 situation. This is actually more, this situation has become more threatening at this moment in Bangladesh in recent times. So people don't actually have to go to the hospital for other tests or regular medical tests. We get them done for people. So this is the solution we offer. People can call us directly. We have a call center. People can message us in our Facebook page or through our website. They can schedule a medical test. So our dedicated and very experienced and expert set of medical technologists, they go to people's office or home, wherever they want, and collect the sample. And the final part is more important, that we don't have more interesting, we don't have our own physical lab. People choose their labs, that I want to do this from this hospital or that hospital, and we send the samples to that center. So, and also the report people get as well. Within 24 hours, they get a soft copy via email, and sometimes they also get the hard copy where needed. So these are our lab partners. The top three, they are the most renowned local Bangladeshi diagnostic labs, and the bottom two are actually the international chains. So this actually gives us a validation about our quality regarding the sample preservation or the transportation, because we are also now part of another big very soon we will be also a partner with a very big local Bangladeshi chain as well. So what we offer to the customers, as I already said, they can save their time, their money, and the flexibility they have to choose their own lab from the comfort of their home or office. And why the labs will be partner for us? Because they are getting more customers, more clients, even clients who are not living nearby their centers, and also they have those facilities without having the without managing them in longer queues. So these are the impacts, these are the areas we are working in terms of SDG. And so talking about our strength, we have the very experienced team of people experienced in healthcare, experienced in technology. The process, this is the most important part, and other players in the market who tried to get in actually struggled in this part. We have very sophisticated process. I already mentioned about the sample preservation, the temperature, the transportation, the duration of transportation from sample collection to the lab. So we all maintain the highest quality. and we are still learning also to make even more progress or more improvement on that. And the pioneer, of course, we are the pioneer in this business in this part of the world, especially when it comes to the choosing of diagnostic labs. As you see, the name of our company is Amarlab. Amar in Bangla, Amar is a Bangla word which means my. So it says Amarlab. I want to do the tests from Amarlab, from my lab, my own chosen lab. So in last year, we have served about more than 500 clients. We have served, we have done more than 16,000 tests, and nearly 1/4 of them are COVID tests. So we are doing COVID tests from taking samples from home as well. So this is the latest news and biggest news for us, and thanks to Impact Hub Network as well, because they have given us the opportunity to, they have actually opened a new window of networking for us, and ultimately we are a part of Accelerating Asia in cohort 4 in 2021. The journey is nearing its end, and we are one of their portfolio a member, along with other 10 companies from 12 different countries across the world. As I said, this journey is nearing to its end, and we are raising near about 300,000 USD. We are very hopeful about that. And so this is the dynamic team of Amarlab. In short, the people you can see on this slide, combinedly, they have, here you can see about 50 years worth of experience, at least 50 plus years, at least. So that's Amarlab, and this is our vision. We want to build a world where everyone can easily access quality healthcare at an affordable price.
Could you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Impact Hub Dhaka, the support you've received or work that you've been doing together?
Well, we were also a part of an incubation program in 2020, late 2020s. And since then, we are in the market from since 2017, but we were struggling with the networking part. People didn't know about us. So from Impact Hub, we got a breakthrough on that. We have met a lot of people. We were part of different incubation programs through Impact Hub as well. And finally, I already shared that we are part of cohort 4 in Accelerating Asia. That's the biggest breakthrough for Amarlab so far. And thanks to Impact Hub as well for that.
Fantastic. And where do you see yourselves in the future? I don't know, a few years from now, what's your dream?
Yeah, currently we are working, our operation is only in Dhaka city, and we are actually working on expanding our business in major cities of Bangladesh. And if you visit our page, you can see that we are already on the we have already started the recruitment process, and very soon we will be moving to Chattogram, the biggest port city in Bangladesh. Firstly, we want to cover all the major cities in Bangladesh, and then why not? Through the journey of Accelerating Asia, we already have come to know that this is a burning issue, and this is a very people actually want this service everywhere in the world. And also we don't also charge much from the people, from the clients, from the patients. We charge as the diagnostic centers also charge. We charge only $2 worth of service charge on top of that. So it's very cheap, and the comfort we were getting. So why not? We want to go international as well, and expanding our boundaries as well. So that's our dream.
Fantastic. That's a big and important dream. That's wonderful.
I guess so. To just characterize the talk today, I wanted to take a big literary quote from Aldous Huxley. This is his revisited Brave New World. So he actually looked back on what he did and said. I think it was a 10 years after the original story came out. So if you believe in democracy, make arrangements to distribute property as widely as possible. That's a really, really important point for us. It's not so much that we're taking property from one person to another. It's that we are distributing as widely as possible. So if you have something that you don't use, we're sharing it out and we're giving it out to people. So let me talk about Solidartech before I go into anything else. We're a small CIC. We've formed a little while ago, 3.5 years. We've come a long way in those 3.5 years, and so has the world, obviously. But basically what we do is we take old technology that people aren't using, and we recycle it to get into the hands of people who can't afford that technology. I think the last year has really shown us that digital exclusion was a massive issue, and I think this is one of the things for us that was really clear before the pandemic, and I think it's become increasingly clear to people as the pandemic has progressed. Everyone, has been working from home. Machines and technology have been their way through this in a lot of cases, and kids have been essentially precluded from taking part in their education. And we've seen the importance of technology, of laptops and anything with a webcam really, really hit to the fore and to become really, really clear. But first, before we go anywhere, I'm going to take you all back to the 80s. This isn't a picture of me, but it might as well be a picture of me. It's a long time ago now, but you'll see the lovely stonewashed denim jeans were absolutely in vogue back then. But also the computers, the CRT telly there, the big fat telly linked up to the Nintendo and the Amiga. I mean, this kid is basically me. And I guess really my love from technology really harks back to that point. I'm not from not from a rich area, not from a rich family. I was a single parent family in inner city central London before it was very, very gentrified and bougie, and no one can afford to live there anymore. And my mum was a big inspiration to me, and this I will link this back in a little bit, but my mum essentially worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs so she could give me access to technology. So as well as a Nintendo and all of that stuff, we had an old Mac 2 computer which I absolutely adored and loved and did a lot of stuff on. I didn't get on with school didn't get on with me, and actually I left as soon as I possibly could. They were pretty happy about that, and so was I. But luckily enough, thanks to an aptitude with computers, I managed to luck into a job in the City of London, and didn't really enjoy working in the City of London, but stayed there a while. Then went on to work in advertising, went on to be a civil servant, which is rare for someone with virtually no qualifications, and then on working for myself and running my own design and web development business. So technology has always played a big role in my career, but we had in our design and development business an awful lot of refugee and asylum seeker clients. And when the migration crisis happened in sort of 2014, 2015, we saw that there were a lot of people coming to this country. And the thing that characterized all of those people coming to this country is when you enter the UK, they actually take your phone off of you. So the thing that's got you to the point of entering the UK is now removed from you. And a lot of these people had no access to technology at all. And obviously people make do and mend and try as hard as they can, but they had absolutely nothing. And we saw a lot of technology being handed out in refugee and asylum cases. And obviously if anyone's interested in data security, you know that these things haven't been wiped properly. They aren't necessarily been optimized. They've just had everything deleted off them that might be incriminating and go forward. So myself and a colleague or a client, I should say, who then became the chair of Solidartech, put together a short process. This is our front end process. This is what we tell people. So people donate their old technology. We wipe the data from the machines as a first protocol. We ask people to wipe it their side, but then we wipe it ours. So we have a lovely double lock that no data is ever going to get past. We do a deep clean wipe on everything. We fix any faults because that's really, really interesting, like really, really crucial. We want to give people the opportunity of having technology, but we don't want to burn their house down, or we don't want to make a kind of a terrible rick with something that's going to just break as soon as we get out. And then we donate it out to beneficiaries. It's that simple. And I think that simplicity is something that we've tried to keep the whole way through. In actuality, the process looks a lot more convoluted and a lot more complex than this, and this is still a massively simplified version. But it comes in, we test it, we wipe it, we make sure that it's something that we can actually fix, we check it's economically viable, we put it into our scrap pile, because obviously we can scrap stuff and get parts for other things, and then we get it out to people. But generally speaking, we get laptops and phones and tablets out to individuals, whereas we get desktops out to organizations. And that's because the precarious living nature of our clients. So essentially, we don't like to call people like anything other than clients or beneficiaries in terms of the people we do it. But what we're trying to do is give the technology that will help people to people. So if we gave a desktop to someone who's an asylum seeker and doesn't have a, you know, kind of a secure housing environment, then that would just be the wrong bit of technology. So with everything else, it really is important that we get the right things to people. This is an old infographic. This actually is before the lockdown. But as I say, we formed 3.5 years ago. That outgoing donations figure of 250 has now been doubled to over 500. That includes school kids, people starting their own businesses. It includes people going through the education system. So actually what we're doing is helping people get more productive in their new country. We're helping people get into the UK and be more productive, tax contributing member of society. People think that we're just trying to help people and we're environmentalists and yogurt knitters and that sort of stuff. Actually, what we're trying to do is make tax paying productive individuals, because as I say, there's a lot of, you know, bad ideas and bad thoughts put out there about asylum seekers and refugees, that they're invaders and they're the flotsam and jetsam of the world. And actually, a lot of these people are professional people. They can afford to get here, okay? It takes a lot to get to this point, and they're the people that can afford to get out. Doctors, architects, civil engineers, business people, people of all races, creeds and colours that can be productive members of society. So we help people get access to their education to be more productive. We help people process their legal cases. We help people access services that they're entitled to. And the mad thing is we help people speak to their loved ones. One bit of technology that we gave to someone allowed him to do a secure line back to his country, which I won't mention. And he saw his child for the first time, which was absolutely wonderful. So we've worked with people from 19 countries, it says there. I think it's up to 25 now. But as you can see, it is people largely from the global south that are having to make a big migrant journey to the global north. And we're trying to help those guys be part of that. So I'm going to spin through the last couple of slides. It takes a lot of face time. These are our machines out in the wild. These are us actually doing donation drives at tech events. These are us actually fixing stuff, and these are us making things happen. And we've got the support of a huge amount of people here. So it really means a lot that we've actually had a great reaction over the pandemic of people really clubbing in and really helping and really being fantastic members, helping to contribute it. And we thought the pandemic was probably going to put the nail in our coffin. And if anything, we've done everything that we did in the years before that and more, and we've made so many more friends through that. So yeah, it is a really, really great place to be in, if that doesn't sound too profiteering and awful. And we've just about to start a European project for the next 2 years, helping refugees acclimatise and use technology to be part of their new country. So hopefully that covers everything about Solidartech.
Yes. To achieve your goals. Speaking of movements and community, you joined Impact Hub Brentford. Your company started before Impact Hub Brentford. And maybe what made you inspired to join the community, and what is the benefit of being part of Impact Hub Brentford for you, or what could Impact Hub do more of to make it even more powerful?
It's really early days at Impact Hub Bradford. So the weird thing is that none of us have been there. I've been there before, but I've not been there when it was Impact Hub. But the great thing is that actually the people involved in Impact Hub are, I think they're really giving of their time, and they're really knowledgeable as well. So actually, I've not had to lean on them a sort of a massive amount, but actually, you know that it's like a congregation of the kind hearts and the good souls, but also the really good brains of the local stuff. And you know, we're in post-industrial England. It's a strange place, and I guess there is a fair bit of tension about England and Britain as its place in the world at the moment. And I think these guys have a really good handle on the ethnic mix and the convivencia, if I use a Spanish word, to take us forward and actually to be prosperous, you know. So I think that's the nice thing. I think they've got their heads and their hearts in the right place.
Briefly speaking, innovation for development is a development focus organization that aims to enrich the quality of interventions for those who have been insisting they're working in the field of humanitarian aid and development sector. Before we started to operate in the field, mainly 3 areas have been identified to keep closely focusing on. First of all, the development sector has a kind of a big failure in terms of their own response capacity. As we all know, the fact that the development sector is kind of an old-fashioned, outdated sector, where innovation capacity for many of those professionals are pretty much insufficient, which also result in a lack of multi-stakeholder engagement strategy. And at the end, it's pretty much decisive in their own daily operations because of having no sufficient level of innovation capacity. As a result of the problem definition, we identified mainly 4 areas, or in another way, the modus operandi of the organization. First of all, we are strictly abide by the sectoral NAFL in this case, and innovation is kind of a backbone for the organization itself. And we really value strategic partnership approach, not just only amongst development organizations and intermediary organizations, but at the same time, the private sector itself. And we have kind of a really dynamic team. Innovation for development in Turkey mainly focuses on 3 main different areas. We specialize mainly in private sector development, in the development sector, and economic empowerment in the humanitarian aid sector. And research is pretty much significant in our portfolio, which means that international development organizations and humanitarian organizations sometimes are in need of conducting some research activities such as labor market assessment, entrepreneurship mapping, impact assessment, midterm reviews, etc. So we mainly serve for those organizations within this framework. Last but not least, I'm sure Beryl explains better than me, communications for development activities, briefly speaking. Our clients are pretty much varied, including but not limited to, again, humanitarian aid organizations, development organizations, and IFIs, namely speaking, the international financial institutions such as European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the World Bank, and etc. This is our cute, lovely team members, pretty much diverse. Previously, we have closely worked with our also Syrian community members as colleagues, let's say. And also, yeah, this is our kind of a mission, as this was being asked by you previously. We really believe that innovation practices is traveling faster than many development organizations. Actually, it's right time to acknowledge this fact. This is kind of also that makes us distinguish in the social entrepreneurship ecosystem in terms of the level of our intervention capacity framed by social innovation and social entrepreneurship in the midst of this big catastrophe. So that's why we would say it's kind of a mission statement also for us while designing, conducting, executing our own operations in Turkey. Some of the main activities we conducted also, it would be really nice to briefly talk about those. I'm sure Beryl again explains better than me quickly.
Yeah, so one of the few projects that we worked on the communication side was the first one that you see was My Unique Story. This is like the impact storytelling for Syrian entrepreneurs, and we focus on their stories and what do they achieve in Turkey, how did they establish their businesses, and we fully focus on it. And we listen to their stories to create this dialogue between the communities, because there are lots of stigmas in the Turkish communities as well against the Syrians. So we wanted to like break this with this impact storytelling, and we we actually like publish this in on a mass media, but also like we're still trying to like try to disseminate those videos in a like a mainly in the conservative media, in an alternative media, in like many media channels, so we can actually like reach different focus groups. So if you don't also like share our YouTube link, that like you can listen, you can watch all the stories from there. And the next one is our animated production videos. And in this one particularly, we focused on the displaced Syrians in Idlib, and we actually like quoted from them. While we were like writing the story, we read their testimonials, we understand like what kind of conditions that they were in exactly, and then we wrote their stories through like an 11 years old Syrian kid called Salim. Besides of them, we also like trying to like put focus on our beneficiaries in our projects. For example, right now we're working on, we're actually about to end a project called like Women Entrepreneurs Challenging COVID-19. And during this project, we are working with women entrepreneurs, like Syrian entrepreneurs, cooperatives, like Syrians and Turks, Afghans, Iranians are working together. And we are traveling like all around Turkey, and we are filming their stories. And why is that important is because in Istanbul, you can actually like find a dialogue, and you can develop yourself way easier because it's a big city. But in Anatolia, in like a small cities, it's really important for those women to be visible, to tell their narratives, because it's really, really difficult to do something as a woman, and especially like young woman, if you're like a migrant, if you're, you know, there are lots of identities that they had to carry on, and being visible to tell their stories from their own voices, it's very important for them. And we are trying to like give that voice to them through our camera, and they have in control of the narrative fully. So it's really important for us to tell their stories. And also my last one is, while we're ending the projects, we're also like try to visualize our projects while we're ending it, so we can tell people what we achieve through our beneficiaries' words. So they're telling us what do they achieve, and we're telling the numbers through like video graphics, and then we're showing some testimonials. So it's really important to like bring M&E process into the visualization. So because it's really boring to read report now, and no one wants to do it, and we are like trying to like bring those short memories videos together, so people can actually like understand what we achieve in 3 minutes. So thank you so much, Dogan, for giving me the space to go.
Thank you so much, Baridi. Maybe we can quickly move forward since we have pretty much limited time. As I previously said, actually, we tried to come up with first of its kind interventions, especially for those who are at risk and in need, especially particularly refugees we are dealing with. And Tech for Refugees is one of those. In terms of the partnership with Impact Hub, especially with Impact Hub Istanbul, we design and execute this Tech for Refugees project together with Impact Hub Istanbul in Turkey. 9 serial-net ICT startups have been selected with the support of 20 mentors and 6 giant tech companies. They have received some technical capacity building activities in terms of doing some businesses with sector leading companies, including Oracle, Microsoft, Google, Amazon Web Services, Insider, and Dimagi. It went really well, by the way, because normally in many cases, those the startups led by Syrians have been approached within the framework of aid dependency. So it's kind of a different approach framed by private sector development, which also creates kind of a win-win business environment with the support of the private sector itself in Turkey. So we call that SME support, private sector development, accelerator plus matchmaking, again within the framework of corporate startup partnerships. Another issue was pretty much significant and also insightful for us. We also support refugees in the ICT management sector through ICT management consultancy training program. It went also really well. As a result of this intervention, up to 22 Syrian ICT professionals were able to take part in the EBRD's consultancy pool, which is pretty much crucial for them. There is no another way to get involved in this pool if there is no any kind of an additional support mechanism for those Syrian professionals in the ICT world. I will move forward. One of another example I can share with you, with the members here, is the economic empowerment program. We also, as a service provider and implementing partner for our organizations like Spark, we design and execute this online incubation program just after this COVID-19 crisis, occurred in March and April. So 39 Syrian youth entrepreneurs came together and we put them in contact with Turkish private sector. We support them in finding their own co-founders and get involved in this local business environment. As Beril rightly said, women entrepreneurs are facing some of the most challenging situations, since they have pretty much limited access to the local market, access to finance issues, another barrier for them, and also a supportive business environment is pretty much weak in Turkey because of some understandable good reasons, I would say. So one of the biggest tech companies, one of the biggest online marketplace called Hepsiburada was a platform for them to get involved in this online marketplace with support of Innovation for Development and our partner Spark with the support of Qatar Development Fund, Qatar Fund for Development. So it's still going on, by the way. As Beril said, we have really interesting stories, and up to, let's say, 15 enterprises involved in this process were refugee inclusive cooperatives and SMEs, which is pretty much significant in terms of inclusive growth discussions happening right now in Turkey. And another issue I can also mention about our partnership with Istanbul Impact Hub Istanbul as Halka Corp. In order to better understand what kind of, let's say, crucial relations we have between Impact Hub Istanbul and I4D, Halka Corp is one of those examples. Together with Impact Hub, we again design and execute this project with the support of the World Bank. And it is kind of a new phenomenon in Turkey to make this transitions towards sustainable development from humanitarian aid through alternative business modalities, including this co-business modality for those who are at the bottom of the pyramid. So together with our partner, Izmir Metropolitan Municipality, Impact Hub Istanbul, the Youth Deal Cooperative, we are putting those co-business modalities into the inclusive supply chain management of the public procurement process, especially amongst, again, municipalities and central governmental bodies. So this is also pretty much significant. I would love to definitely discuss this issue afterwards, once you are some available time afterwards. And maybe lastly, another issue we can raise right now is fair and clean supply chain workshops. Since we are acting kind of an intermediary organizations, we really value seeing all those people discussing potential entry points for how to make this ecosystem more fair and cleaner in terms of identifying their own suppliers framed with inclusive supply chain management. So, and also some research activities we conducted, I would say, for many different international organizations through our hybrid business modalities, having one association and one company. So I just want to make it short. If you want to have any questions, if you have any questions in your mind, we would love to definitely discuss this issue further.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much
Dogan.
again. Thank you so much, Vita.
Own opinion, what has been beneficial of being part of Impact Hub? So how did Impact Hub help you in your journey?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Actually, one of those co-founders, Semi Boyaji, is also part of this meeting right now.
Exactly.
Good to see him as well. I mean, the environment itself is pretty much friendly, and all those, I mean, the Impact Hub Istanbul members are open for sharing their own networks and their the partners in order to also create the platform where everybody can mutually find some let's say useful connections and communications with those who are also taking part in this big ecosystem. As a result of our, I mean, the common interventions together with Istanbul, Impact of Istanbul, I guess something is going on well, I will say briefly. And this is kind of a really pure indicator regarding how Impact of Istanbul is supportive towards creating a meaningful partnership structure with their own local members. So maybe briefly speaking, this would be an issue that I can raise right now.
According to the FAO, almost 40% of the fruits and vegetables produced is wasted. In Sudan, the number is less, but not that much. 30% of all foods, including the grains, are wasted, which is valued by $1 billion, which is something we really need here in the country. As you know, that we are financially struggling a little. If we collect like the losses in mango, tomato, banana, and potatoes, it's almost 730,000 tons per year is wasted, and that's all due to the current process, which is depending mainly on the middlemen and the traditional word of mouth, let's say, marketing method. And the second thing is also the lack of storage and processing techniques. We are trying to get in this value chain and try to minimize these losses by providing them storage on a shared basis, to enable farmers to store these fruits and vegetables, extend the shelf life, and then accessing new markets. We work with them by giving them, as like I was saying, access to cold stores. The benefit is these cold stores are solar powered, so that we can place anywhere we want. And we try also to give them like access to new markets, like exporters, and also like processing facilities, which is normally it would never happen, because the farmers will only sell to middlemen, because most of the production areas are located far away from consumption places. So sometimes they have to take the goods for 300 kilos, which is not possible to take them, and they don't know where to take the goods to. So they are mainly relying on middlemen who offer them very low prices. So for us, when we fit in, we try to give access to those buyers who give them better prices, and also help the farmers not to lose part of their products. These are pictures of we work currently on mango value chain. This is our first experiment. Now we are working at a farm who have, we tried with 1 ton of mangoes. The first picture is they have collected in plastic bags, and then we put them in those yellow crates, and then we washed them. In the last picture, as you see on your right, is these units we have put inside the store. The outcome of this experiment that we have extended the shelf life 3 times. We earned like, I think, almost 50% higher revenue for this farmer we tried. This is not a small farmer, but we tried to go with someone who's more capable of taking the risk with us. And the next step, we are going to go to a smaller scale farmer. We're targeting also to go along the tomato value chain, because the mango season is almost done here in Sudan. Our milestones that currently we are in pilot phase, and then we want to scale up and commercialize the business based on the outcome of each step. The team consists of me. I'm the CEO, and then my partner is Rania. She's a financial analyst. She's good with the finances, so she's also good with the investment. She's very smart. So we are forming like a diverse team. I'm doing the technical things and the management. This is my contact. Anyone wants to share the contact, I'll keep for.
Related to your work with Impact Hub Khartoum, and how they're supporting you in your work currently.
Actually, for me, I really owe a very big gratitude to Impact Hub Khartoum, because for me, like joining the entrepreneur, like being an entrepreneur, it wasn't anything that I went into easily. I participated in Climathon in 2018. At that time, when I visited the place and I met the team and I met those people inside, it really gave me a lot of knowledge because I had nothing related to the entrepreneurship. I just had, maybe some kind of, let's say, I like to do something beneficial and different. That was only me, but at that time when I met them, I think they helped me to know more about myself and discover my skills. Besides that, I think the most valuable thing I got from them is networking, because I really met with the right people through them. This is something, I think that it was the essential thing. It was all about networking. Also some guidance. I met mentors who helped me a lot. So I think I wouldn't be there without Impact Hub Khartoum.
Hi, I'm Laura Mendoza. I'm one of the 4 co-founders of Unima. We are a biotechnology company, and we develop fast and low-cost diagnostics to help those people in developing areas of the world have access to a timely diagnostic in wherever they are, even if they're in very remote places without access to internet. So that's basically what we do. So our story goes back, it goes way back. We started a company back in 2005, 6, more or less, where we were doing a vaccine stabilizer for poultry. So that's actually how we started in the animal health business. But as time went by and that business evolved, we realized the big problem that there were at the farms in production of meat. And these problems were related to the fact that chicken would get ill quickly, and in a matter of a few days, half of the farm would be dead. So that's how we realized that, wow, this is a big problem. This is a problem we want to address. The farmers did not know what to do because they simply did not know what the animals had. So fast forward, we started to work on this problem, but we had the opportunity to go to Boston and spend 3 months there working on this problem. And suddenly all the people were telling us, this is great, but why aren't you addressing a similar problem in human health? And we said, wow, that's actually pretty interesting. So we started doing our market research and realized what a big problem tuberculosis was in human health. By that time, we have developed some relationships with a research center in Mexico that was able to license to us a very interesting technology where, in very, very simple words, we could design half of the protein that would be attached to their own protein, where we could tell this other half what biomarker to detect for whatever disease that had a biomarker that could be detected. So we worked on that for a little while, and we also work on the platform. First, it was a paper platform. Now we're working on a plastic platform. And we were able to design a test that was good to detect tuberculosis in humans. So in 2016, we were accepted into Y Combinator, which was one of the biggest accelerators in the world. We completely left the other business because it had already matured, it had already run its course, and we really gave ourselves to this new idea. We were able to raise funding, and we created a team of about 20 people that right now are working with us. And we worked for a very long time in making perfect the platform, getting registrations for the product, doing validations, etc. All of this takes a time in the biotechnology field. So, and of course, Mexico has some challenges around biotechnology. So we also have to go and learn and how it could be done in Mexico. So a lot of those challenges took a lot of time, but we finally got a test for tuberculosis. We got the registration to deploy this product in Mexico and in Indonesia, but that was about February 2020. So as you know, we were faced with the coronavirus pandemic. At the same time, almost at the same time, we were practically ready to deploy our tuberculosis test. So we were faced with very difficult choices. And the difficult choice was, what do we do? Do we still focus on tuberculosis or do we focus on coronavirus? And we decided to go into the coronavirus pandemic because everybody that was working in tuberculosis had to start working in coronavirus. There were no coronavirus specialists at that time. So basically, we developed another test for detecting antibodies in coronavirus. But of course, this took also some time, and we realized that the market was not asking for an antibody test in coronavirus. They were actually asking for an antigen or a PCR test for coronavirus, something that would tell you have the disease right now. So we started developing that product in our same platform using a lot of the things we had learned with tuberculosis, and we're able to develop a test. Finally, right now, we are very fortunate because we are about to launch this test. You have to consider that it's it has very big differentiators compared to other tests in the market, because we do the analysis not by the human eye. We do the analysis with the smartphone application that does image analysis processes and it gives a result that's highly specific and highly sensitive to the user. So this also allows you to do data collection. So this is very interesting for organizations that are working in global health. For example, the particular Ministry of Health of each country, pharmaceutical companies that want to use also a disease surveillance. This can be very interesting also for NGOs that are working on certain diseases and want to know how the deployment and the results are coming about. And this helps not only to know how the landscape looks like, but it also helps to take decisions on how to control a pandemic as it's going, as its numbers are increasing or as its numbers are diminishing. So that's basically what we do right now. We are going to launch in Malaysia this coronavirus test in a few weeks, and we also have plans. We had to do a little bit of shift. Originally, we are working in developing countries, but coronavirus is a worldwide problem. So we are also working in developed countries right now. So we're working in Germany, and soon enough, we will be able to have our technologies in these two geographies, and hopefully this will expand to other geographies in the world as well.
Okay, that's great. So can you tell us a little bit more about your experience participating in Accelerate 2030 and how Impact Hub has supported your work, and what are the opportunities that you see for Impact Hub supporting you in the future? Okay, so what was really amazing, I mean, there are two things that are very important for me. The first one is Impact Hub and Accelerate 2030 introduced us to the idea of sustainability, and not only sustainability in the sense of being sustainable as a company,
but also being sustainable as a person. So that was the first time that we have heard about this concept on how to be sustainable, you as a person, to be able to have something to give to the world and not die in the attempt to do so. So that was really revolutionary for us. And that's something we have not seen in any other program we have participated in our years as an entrepreneur. So that was really, really cool. And the second one is Accelerate 2030 and Impact Hub in the global phase are really a door to the world, because we work with Impact Hub Geneva and Accelerate 2030 in Geneva. So this is where a lot of the leaders in the United Nations are. A lot of divisions working for the WHO are. So we are able to build those connections that are much more aware than we are of how to deploy technologies around the world, what resources you can tap in, how to grow healthily, and that's those two things are, at least for me and the conditions of my company, the most impactful so far. I know that in the future, I'm aware that there are so many other things we can tap into. For example, impact measurement, which we want to do once the numbers start to stabilize for us, because we need to know how much we are doing and how much more further we can go. So that's only one resource that when the time is right, I'm going to come knocking on the door of Impact Hub and Accelerate to say, hey, we are ready. Let's do this correctly. Mm-hmm.
Brilliant, and we will be ready for you.
Some of the story, I think, goes back to my mom and dad. Of course, I am the youngest of four. My mom and dad grew up here in Baltimore. And I said, we come from a family of entrepreneurs. I've been thinking lately, probably by force, more than choice. I'm just looking at the real economic realities in community. My dad had to drop out at 8th grade. He was the oldest in family and had to go to work. And so Dad went to work and dropped out of Carver Middle School here in Baltimore, but went on to open 5 dry cleaners and several nightclubs in Baltimore. And, entrepreneurship as part of a way of self-determination, a way to provide for family and community. And my mom was a missionary evangelist in the church. And so that need to serve community has always been a very part of my family and my upbringing. And of course, being raised up in the church as well, where I feel like much of the work I'm doing now with Collectively is rooted there. Ritual, tradition, shared values, the pooling of resources, right, is something that I saw being modeled every week. Professionally, I went on to take a job at the Collective Banking Group, so working with over 200 churches, faith-based economic development, strategic business partners and banks, mobilizing over $300 million in loans in the community. So again, using this sort of asset-based approach that I call Black Genius, right, of using the strengths and values of what we already have to sort of pool and mobilize resources. And then it was 2019 that I launched my most recent project, Collectively. But it was really 2015, after the murder of Freddie Gray here in Baltimore, that I co-founded Baltimore United for Change. And that was a coalition of community activists, faith leaders that came together to respond to this murder. And during that time, I created the Skills Bank, and the Skills Bank was an on-ramp for folks who were not necessarily on the ground, but in community and wanted to contribute. We had over 260 individuals and organizations join the Skills Bank. I'm a mental health provider. I'm a lawyer. I'm a graphic designer. I'm a website designer, photographer. How might I plug in? We used that Skills Bank internally as a coalition, and the goal with Collectively, which I launched in 2019, was how could we cast a broader net to all Black-led organizations. We also heard from foundations on the ground that they didn't know who some of the Black-led organizations were in our community. So we launched with our first phase was this asset-based directory where we mapped over 140 Black-led organizations based on their area of focus and neighborhood. In Baltimore, you can search them on our website. Our second phase is Amplified. It's a storytelling multimedia project. We'll begin telling the stories of these Black-led organizations in Baltimore. The third is our skills bank, so integrating the work of Baltimore United for Change and bringing in those skills to connect and help develop our Black-led organizations. We move to our strategic partners, something now we're calling collective design, where we're looking at relationships, right? That I think often we want organizations to collaborate, but we don't spend time building the type of relationships. So we'll talk about the systems and structures that have historically separated us, collaboration versus competition, scarcity versus abundance, to sort of go through a healing process to help make it easier for Black-led organizations to collaborate and work together. And then we have our Fund for Black Future. So every month we do a micro grant, a no strings attached grant, where organizations submit a 2 to 3 minute video, and the community at large votes for the winner. We've had over 50,000 votes cast, so the community has been engaged in this micro grant. And in response to COVID, we launched the Baltimore Black-led Solidarity Fund with the goal of providing 50 $500 micro grants. We surpassed that, have been able to put over $300,000 into the community. Again, grants ranging from $500 to $10,000, all have been no strings attached grants. We are clear that often our organizations have been pouring from an empty cup, that they have not been resourced and invested in the way they should have been. Some of the foundation data is that Black-led organizations receive about 2% of the $60 billion in foundation funds. So we just wanted to create an ecosystem that helps foster collaboration, be a resource for those that seek to find fund, and partner with Black social change organizations. So again, we're still young. We're excited and thankful for the support of Impact Hub. I mean, one of the things, there's this theory, the social network theory called weak ties. So this theory of weak ties that, you know, sort of like you exhaust all of your resources within your strong tie relationships, right? And so even though we are Black-led, our work is centered on the Black community, we also recognize the importance of networks. And I feel like Impact Hub has done that. Again, COVID hit, the pandemic hit, and I felt like they definitely have stepped up and brought us to other tables, introduced us to other folks in communities, and even help us cultivate other donors as well. So we're thankful for the support of the Impact Hub. And I guess I'll stop there. I don't know if that's 10 minutes or not, but.
So you mentioned a little bit about how Impact Hub Baltimore, and we have Eric here, so no pressure, has supported your work. But so what do you think Impact Hubs around the globe could do or continue doing or do better to support entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think the power of the network, particularly as I focus on Black-led organizations, again, Baltimore is 65% Black community. And so I think the networks and this theory of weak ties for me has been valuable. The introduction to new circles, new spaces where our work may not be, has been valuable. So I think that how you leverage your network, how you leverage your social capital to also bring along other organizations and bring them to the table. We have a giving circle that's a diverse group of individuals of high net worth and folks from community. And again, asking folks sometimes not just the resources, which are great, but also how do you expand the network? How do you expand the audience that helps us build our donors? Of course, Impact Hub does a great job, I think, of providing space in community for communities to host events as well. And so I guess my only piece would be the power of the network. I think the network has been good for me. I think, again, when I first joined and I sat down with Michelle, I think she did everything to really push our work forward and to share us through the network locally. So I appreciate that support.
And we have a follow-up question on that from Maria, who is our Network Development Director at the global level. And she's asking, how can Impact Hub be more inclusive and more supportive of Black-led organizations?
You know, one of the things I say at the foundations all the time is partnership, not paternalism. So for me, it's really like developing authentic partnerships. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like yet, but it's looking at, you know, how do we build, again, while we use this asset-based process, really us building off of what we have And that is, I think, the Black genius within our community, when often we don't have the capital. So I think it's important for us to have access to capital, but also have shared ownership in models that helps us sort of build out our own places and spaces that we need to be more self-determined in our community.